The coffee shop, stranger in the bustling heart of Chicago, where the streets hummed with honking taxis and the scent of roasted beans drifted out from every corner cafe. There was a small, cozy coffee shop called Haven's Brew. It wasn't flashy, but it was warm, the kind of place where people came not just for caffeine, but for comfort. On a gray November morning, Emily Carter, a 24-year-old aspiring writer, sat at her usual corner table. She had her notebook open, a half-empty latte by her side, and a look of quiet defeat on her face. Emily had moved to the city with big dreams, but months of rejection, emails, and unpaid bills had chipped away at her confidence. She was starting to wonder if she belonged here at all, as she tapped her pen against the paper. The bell above the door jingled. An older man shuffled inside, wearing a faded coat and carrying nothing but a worn leather briefcase. His silver hair was unkempt, his shoes scuffed, but his eyes kind and sharp noticed everything around him. He ordered a simple black coffee, and no other seats were free. Asked Emily softly, "Mind if I sit here?" Emily nodded, though she wasn't in the mood for company. Still, something about the man's gentle presence made her keep her notebook open instead of closing it in embarrassment. The conversation for a few minutes. They sat in silence. Emily scribbled half-hearted sentences while the man stirred his coffee slowly. Finally, he spoke. "You're a writer," he said, gesturing to her notebook. Emily laughed bitterly. "I'm trying to be, but no one seems to care about my words." The man tilted his head. "Do you care?" Emily hesitated. "Of course I do. Writing is everything to me. But maybe it's not enough." He leaned back, sipping his coffee thoughtfully. "I spent 40 years teaching literature. Do you know what I told every student? Words matter, even if only one person hears them. If your writing changes one heart, then it's already done its job." Emily blinked, taken aback. Something about the conviction in his voice made her chest tighten. The story. He carried the man introduced himself as James Whitaker, a retired teacher who used to live just outside the city. He had lost his wife 5 years ago and came into Haven's Brew every week because it reminded him of the little cafe they used to visit together. He told Emily about the countless students who doubted themselves, who thought their voices didn't matter until someone believed in them. "The world doesn't need perfect writers," he said softly. "It needs honest ones, people who write from the heart." Emily found herself listening more intently than she had in months. For the first time, someone wasn't dismissing her dream. The act of kindness. When Emily glanced at the time, her stomach sank. Her shift at a bookstore started in 20 minutes, and she didn't even have enough money to buy lunch before work. She began packing up her notebook quietly, but James noticed her hesitation. "You okay?" he asked. Emily forced a smile. "Yeah, just need to get going." James nodded, but didn't press. Instead, when Emily went to grab her latte cup, she noticed something tucked under it, a folded $20 bill. She looked up in surprise. "I can't take this." "Okay." James smiled warmly. "It's not charity. It's an investment. Buy yourself lunch and promise me you'll keep writing. That's all I ask." Her throat tightened. She wanted to refuse, but the sincerity in his eyes stopped her. With tears pricking her vision, she whispered, "Thank you." The ripple effect that night. Emily wrote like she hadn't in months. She stayed up until dawn, pouring her heart into a short story about a stranger in a coffee shop who reminded a young woman that dreams are worth fighting for. She posted it online without expecting anything. But within days, the story spread, shared by hundreds of people who said it touched them, who saw themselves in her words for the first time. Emily felt like her writing mattered, and she knew exactly who had sparked it. The return, weeks later. Emily returned to Haven's Brew, hoping to see James again. She carried a printed copy of her story, tucked neatly into an envelope. But when she asked the barista about him, the woman gave her a sad smile. "Mr. Whitaker. He passed away last week." Emily froze, her heart sinking. She hadn't even gotten to thank him properly. The barista added gently, He used to talk about how much he missed teaching, how he wished he could still encourage young people. I think he would have been glad to know he helped you. Emily sat back down at their table, tears rolling silently down her cheeks. She placed the envelope on the empty chair across from her, whispering, "You did help me, more than you'll ever know." Full circle months later, Emily's short story was published in a small literary magazine. She dedicated it to James Whitaker, the stranger who reminded me that words have power. She continued to write, not chasing fame, but writing for the people who needed her stories. Every time she walked into Haven's Brew, she ordered a black coffee and sat at the same table, imagining James across from her with his kind eyes and steady voice. And whenever she saw a young dreamer doubting themselves, she made sure to pass along the same gift James had given her: belief. Moral of the story: sometimes the smallest acts of kindness, like a stranger's encouragement or a folded bill left beneath a coffee cup, can change the entire course of a life. James may have been just a stranger in a coffee shop, but to Emily, he became the spark that reignited her dream. Because heroes don't always arrive in capes. Sometimes they arrive with nothing more than a kind word and a warm cup of coffee.